welcome to another episode of SMECO Connects. I'm Sonja Cox, and I'm here today with my co-host, Tom Dennison. Hi, Tom.
Hey, it's so nice to see you again in our new studio.
I know, it's nice.
I mean, former storm room, now podcast meeting place, I think.
Yeah. Shoestring budget.
It is very shoestring, but I think it would be, I can tell you the last time I think I was in this room for something work-related was back in 2009.
Wow,
Okay?
really?
So if you think about it, 2009, this was probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And there's a door right out here that you come into our headquarters building. And this was a storm room. And I came here that morning at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning during the morning of Hurricane Irene. Hurricane Irene, if you remember, it was sometime in the fall of 2009. I forget the exact dates, but when we all got in here that morning, we had 0 members connected in Calvert County. We had over, I think all told, it was like 108,000 outages, and certainly one of the largest storms that we've ever had right here. And it was, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but in this room, there was a 6-foot table, and I can remember I was there. Your predecessor was here, the CEO. Our chief of operations was in here. Our chief engineer was in here. And I just remember we just, okay, how are we going to address this? What do we do now? and what we did was we just we figured it out and started like biggest outages first. We had to get the transmission up. And we were in contact with the Maryland State Police, and they came and picked up John Breedenkamp in a helicopter so that he could go and fly
just kind of see what
fly the line over in Calvert,
right.
So we could see, because some of that area is very difficult to get to.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And obviously our phones were just kind of spinning around on the desk. They were just constantly ringing, but wound up turning into one of SMECO's finest hours. I think we had everybody back on, and in several days, obviously there was some extensive damage in Southern Maryland that time, but yeah, that was all right here in the storm room.
It's a pretty tiny little storm room, too.
Very tiny compared to what we have now.
Right.
I mean, we have a very state-of-the-art place where we can all have, places we can plug in our laptops and phone jacks and all that kind of thing. That makes it a lot more.
Well, that's kind of
convenient.
a good segue into what we were going to talk about today, because you're talking about the phones ringing.
Yeah,
people
perfect.
calling.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about like that part of your job, like relationship building outside of SMECO and inside SMECO, and the different types of relationships that you have throughout the community and the state?
Yeah, so I've been with SMECO, it'll be almost 20 years. I started in November of 2006. So part of my job before I came, or my job prior to coming to SMECO, was I was a newspaper reporter, and I covered the Maryland General Assembly and local politics here in Southern Maryland. So I knew right when I started my career that how important relationships are. And I think at a company like SMECO, where we are delivering an essential service, a very highly regulated essential service, and one that is constantly in the news when it comes to the political aspect of what we do.
Especially these days.
Especially these days where we have so much regulatory pressure and so much, concern about reliability, to be frank, that, I mean, all aspects of my job revolve around relationships at the local, state, and federal level. So I am very fortunate to be our spokesman during times of outages, and also during legislation, and during the Maryland General Assembly session. I represent our company before the General Assembly. So you have to have existing relationships, and you always have to be willing to expand those relationships. And it's not just with elected officials. I think some of the best, most rewarding relationships that I have and are most important ones are not necessarily with just elected officials, but it's the staff members who work for the legislators.
Oh, you mean the ones doing the work?
Exactly. The people who answer the phones in
Right,
the office,
yeah.
the people who schedule appointments. I tell you, some of the best relationships I've had were like at the Maryland State House, knowing the guards at the door, knowing their names whenever you walk in, and they'll kind of give you a tip or whatever. It's like, hey, are you looking for the governor? Are you looking for? You just kind of want to walk through. If you want to, maybe go and grab them there. That was a good one. Whenever I was a reporter, so I learned a lot through that process, and then through my career here at SMECO, so much of what we do is dependent upon permits and regulatory oversight that is provided by the Maryland Public Service Commission at the state level, and then locally. We can't just go and build a substation. We can't just go and build a line without going through a lot of different
permitting,
different
right of way
aspects of our everyday job. So yeah, I mean, working at SMECO is a constant reminder of the relationship that we have with our governments at all levels.
Yeah. And you're really good at meeting people and talking to anybody. And
Yeah, well, I get that from my late grandmother.
Yeah.
My late grandmother who passed away last year, passed away earlier this year. She was the woman who, at our local homecoming in our local small town in Western Pennsylvania, she was the one out there selling raffle tickets. So she wound up going, and she knew everybody. She knew everybody there, and she was selling raffle tickets. And I can remember as a little, very young, I would tag around with her because she would also get tickets for the rides that we could go on, my brother and I. So I learned a lot about that, and my motto has always been just to be straight up with people, to be honest, and if you don't know, don't pretend.
right,
If you don't know, ask for help.
right.
If you don't know, don't tell somebody just what they want to hear. And we have a lot of difficult conversations in our jobs, you especially, where you're talking to members of our board of directors. We're talking to people who are upset with us.
Issue, yeah.
With
If
us.
it gets to me, that's usually what it is.
It is. And I think no matter what, and some of those conversations just aren't going to go well. I think but we also, I think, have an obligation to just be as straightforward with people as possible. And yes, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you have a high electric bill. Let's look into it. Let's look and see what kind of things we can do to help you out. Let me try to explain what's driving these costs.
Yeah.
Let me try to understand what kind of house you live in, or, if there's
You got a pool or a hot tub, or
a
that
pool
kind
or a
of
hot
stuff.
tub, 2 or 3 HVAC systems that are maybe 25 years old apiece, or those types of things. And you just try to be upfront and just try to explain what we can do, and you don't necessarily have to sugarcoat things. You just
Right.
gotta
Just be honest and
just
transparent.
be honest and transparent is huge.
I just remember the last rate case we did, and we had the public hearing here, which we are required to do.
Yeah.
And there were some members there that were upset about the rate increase, and then, they come in and we explain things to them. But I was so impressed with the way you were talking to these ladies that were in this HOA that was there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And once you started talking, I mean, they got it, they understood.
Yeah, I think there was some misinformation that they had, and honestly, these were folks who actually wanted to try to broadcast some of the information from the meeting to their HOA. And so a lot of people get worried because they put a camera in your face or you're recording. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to change what I'm going to say, but what I'm going to do is hopefully say it in a way that it can be shared among their neighbors and explain what's going into this rate case, how it's going to impact them, and then give people the timeline. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. There's still regulatory processes that have to go forward, and kind of set up people to prepare.
Right.
And I think that's expected of us to be a part of that community and to be present.
Right.
And I know with you, for instance, I mean, you're in the community as well. I mean, you serve on all these boards. You're the chairman of the College of Southern Maryland board now.
I am.
So, I mean, I think that's a way for people to know that SMECO's around and that SMECO's part of the community, and that we're representing not only the co-op, but we're also trying to help various organizations in the community to, one, to answer questions, and sometimes you just got to kind of help navigate them through the internal process here at SMECO, and whether they're trying to build something or they need some help with something, or
and sometimes we even go outside the community or outside our service territory. Just give you an example. I think it was like last week, one of our board members got a call from a friend of his that lives in the PEPCO service area.
Oh, okay.
And he wanted to know how he could get more information about the Empower Maryland programs on the PEPCO side. So guess what we did? We helped him with that,
Amazing. Yeah. We're subject to the same Empower programs as
Right.
PEPCO is, and we can, and I'm sure that person appreciated the fact that they could check in with us, and we would make time for them. Another thing that I think that we take a lot of pride in here at SMECO is working collaboratively with various organizations, and very much so on the nonprofit side. We provide a lot of financial support to a lot of organizations, and whether it's buying 4-H kids their animals at the fair, or
the first time I heard about that, I'm like, well, what are we going to do with it?
exactly right. I had the same thing because I'm not, but you would be amazed how many people come up to you afterwards, like, hey, thanks for my son or daughter raised X goats or pigs or whatever, and we were able to help them with that,
and we donate them back, just so you know.
We do. Thank you for reminding me of that. And
Tom doesn't have them all in his backyard.
oh my gosh, although my daughters would probably like it actually, but yeah, I wouldn't. I think the other things that we do is, I mean, we don't give tens of thousands of dollars to organizations, but we try to divvy up money to various organizations for sponsorships and everything to help establish relationships with companies or organizations that are doing similar good services that we want to have our name attached with.
Right.
And I think that's it. It's a two-way street. I mean, we have partnerships with Chick-fil-A and La Plata. There's the guy the owner operator, I forget his exact title, but he puts on a big veteran focused motorcycle ride every year. So we provide him a financial contribution to help sponsor that event, and he provides us with cards for our golf tournament every year, where we can give out free chicken sandwiches to our volunteers and our players and things. So I mean, it's just kind of what we do, and that's the connection we have with our community.
Yeah, and we're doing a food drive. Our employees are doing a food drive right now. Today's the last day.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, and I think we try to do something like that at least once a year.
Well, we do, and you see a lot of those types of food drives around the holidays, but we have the philosophy of doing it during the summertime because not a lot of people are kind of focused on that right now.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, many of the the food pantries and things, their supplies are going down at this point. So what we do is we try to bring in a lot of stuff from our employees, and then we allocate money every year through our contributions budget to go to Sam's Club or BJ's in Waldorf, and we buy essentials. You know, the peanut butters, your pastas, your tuna fish, your cases of water, those types of things. And we load up a van and deliver it to the Southern Maryland Food Bank. And they're so appreciative, and it's a couple of hours out of our day that we do, and it's rewarding, and we know it's going to help people. So it's a big deal for us.
And another area of the organization where we house what we call our what Lizelle does, and she's out in the community a lot too. I mean, she's attending homeowners association meetings and various kinds of meetings like that to talk about those Empower Maryland programs and the different kinds of things that we have for energy savings and that sort of thing. So she's out there as well. Natalie's out there.
Yeah.
A lot of our employees are out in the community representing SMECO at different, nonprofit boards or things like that. So
yeah, and I think what's also very helpful is that our linemen who are out in the community doing essential work, I've said it a million times, they're such good ambassadors for us because they may not feel comfortable maybe coming in here and doing a podcast with us or being on camera or anything, but when they go up to a house or they're along the road and they're fixing something and somebody comes up to them, I mean, they have just impeccable credibility, and I've always heard such good responses from members of the public whenever they like, hey, what are you guys doing, or what's broke, or how long is it going to take to get this back on? The guys are always really helpful that way. We don't encourage people to come on to work sites and those types of things. However, in those instances where they're confronted by members of the public, they always shine. And back to what you said about our energy and tech people who go out to homeowners associations to actually go right to certain people's homes to take a look around their houses to help do audits. I mean, it's a service that we provide that I think is really important and stuff that's really valued by our various members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So what is it? I guess what we're always, I know when you and I talk about our kind of strategic plan going forward, those types of things, I have this restless desire to improve. That's always part of our mantra here at SMECO. I guess I know you've been president now for 5 years.
Yes.
And how do you see our mission evolving, maybe going forward? I certainly know that our mission is always, providing safe, reliable electricity at the lowest possible sustainable price and everything. Right. So do you have any other kind of visions going forward on how we can improve with the community and that type of thing?
Well, I think from, what we talk about all the time, reliability is really important. In the future, anyway, we're going to be able to use some artificial intelligence to help us on modernize our grid and be able to maybe have some more predictive analytics to help us fix things before they break, that sort of thing. But I mean, I think somebody put it like this. I was at a seminar last week, and he said, you're not just electric companies anymore, or you're not an electric company, you're a technology company.
Right.
And that's really what it's become. We're so dependent on the technology.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if we can start predicting based on whatever analytics, whatever data that we collect, when certain feeders could go out, or when the vegetation cycles, we can get that timed a little better and address problems before they occur. That's always what we're looking for. So I think that's a really good way to kind of think about it.
Yeah, and one of the struggles one of the things I've struggled with, pretty much my whole career, but in the last 4 or 5 years is the right type of communication. Like
Yes.
we do a lot of communicating with our members, but are we doing the right types? Are they reading what we're sending? Are they on our Facebook? What more can we do to communicate? And that was also one of the reasons we started the podcast, so that we could have that voice out there for them to hear. So I think a lot of times, like going back to talking about that hearing where you were
Right.
face to face with those people and you were talking to them, and if they had read the same thing on a piece of paper, it would not
Wouldn't
have.
Yeah, it wouldn't have sunk in as well.
No.
And I think that's always our challenge. We try to do as much as we can on social media. We also we don't have a lot of media coverage anymore in Southern Maryland like we used to have
Right.
15, 20, 25 years ago. And I think it's always a challenge to kind of break through and understand how people are consuming their news. And I think we just got to continue to work at it. I think efforts like this, having a podcast, I think is a helpful thing that, people can see that you and I are talking about all this stuff all the time, and that they could pick up something from an episode like this, or just being able to just call us. We're accessible. I mean, you can email us and we'll
Right.
get back to you. So I think that's always the important thing, that we're there for people.
I did want to ask you one question about an incident yesterday, but not in our service territory.
Sure.
The Brandon Shores plant was off the
Yes.
grid for some reason,
Yes.
and I wasn't. I was going to ask you if you had any calls from media down here saying, "Is this going to affect SMECO?"
So I didn't get any calls, but it was interesting. I made a call to my colleague and a fellow lobbyist who works for BG&E, and it was funny. He picked up the phone and he was like, "Man, I'm glad you're not this and this person," because he had called a number of elected officials to give them a heads up what's going on.
Right.
And
I need to say too
Yeah.
that BGE doesn't own that plant anymore.
That is
That's
correct.
Owned by Talon.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, sorry.
their transmission system that's connected to the plant had a problem. And I think big picture, Sonja, what we've talked about on this podcast and other forums about the kind of perilous position that Maryland's electricity grid and our generation deficit that we have here, it was very, very brought into focus yesterday.
It was because that plant was supposed to close.
The plant was supposed to close. It's on a must run right now
Right.
to keep the lights on. And it goes to show that a mechanical problem on the transmission system, and you had 4,000 people without power,
Right.
and you had mandatory conservation orders going. So I think it's a wake up call. We did not, fortunately, we didn't have any interruptions on our side
Right.
in SMECO service territory. That being said, I think any of us are subject to it. And that's why I think there's so much more attention being brought to trying to figure out a way to bring in new generation, trying to incentivize small modular nuclear reactors, and doing so in a way that doesn't harm our environment according to the regulations that we're all subject
Right.
to. It's a very delicate balance act, but what we saw yesterday was very scary, and I think BG&E really tried to get out and talk to people and explain what was going on, why it was happening, and what they're doing to fix it.
Right. Okay. Well,
Well, this was good. I
It
mean,
was.
I think anytime that we can talk about what we're doing, from just our normal everyday jobs and things is helpful, and hopefully our viewers out there enjoy it as well as we do.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Thanks.